Welcome back to CNA. This is your host, Evan Santor, bringing you your news. In 2022, inflation rates globally are at an all-time high, expected to reach 7.5% by the end of the year, while others expect it to reach highs of 8.8%. The drastic increases for the price of food, gasoline, energy is all due to the supply chain disruptions that we've been having throughout COVID. For more on this, we head to Keshan from the White House to speak about inflation and the ongoing container crisis and and how COVID affects the supply chain.
Yeah, so before COVID-19 struck, the prices of products and shipping were low due to the use of efficient supply chains. During the peak of the pandemic, however, goods exported from one country to another were stuck in countries with insufficient manpower, and truck drivers and ship crews were unable to cross borders due to public health restrictions. This came to be known as the container crisis, and these graphs show the sudden plummet of exports and imports in various continents.
Thank you, Keshan. And for those of you who are new to supply and demand is the term that refers to how much a certain product, item, commodity, or service suppliers are willing to make available at a particular price. Demand refers to how much of the product or item, commodity, or service that consumers are willing and able to purchase for a particular price.
Thank you, Evan. Pent-up demand from the extended lockdown overwhelmed supply chains, causing delays in getting goods to customers and a substantial increase in prices. This led to inflation, as can be seen in the supply and demand graph. As the worst of the pandemic has started settling down, businesses have added jobs at a rate of 540,000 jobs per month since January. Many consumers have started to make large purchases with savings accumulated during the pandemic. Generally, such a quick pivot in demand is good news for businesses and workers. However, under current circumstances, businesses beginning to reopen after the crippling effects of the pandemic are struggling to accommodate for the spike in demand. Some businesses have reported that they are unable to hire fast enough to keep up with a rising need for workers, leading to a record high 8.3 million job openings in April. Other businesses do not have enough supply to avoid running out of stock. Businesses with complex supply chains have been hit especially hard with the rise in demand, as their production is easily disrupted due to shortages of inputs from other businesses.
Thank you, Mr. Keshan. Next, I'd like to welcome Oz Gench, the Chief Financial Officer at Shell PLC, who will be talking about the price changes with oil and gas.
Thank you for that, Evan. According to supply and demand theory, the higher the supply is of a product, the lower the demand must go, as well as vice versa, meaning that a lower supply makes for a higher demand, causing a higher cost for commodities such as petroleum or car oil or other things that we need and consume in our day-to-day lives. And the fact that there is a lack of these things, if there is a lack, it will cause prices to completely skyrocket. According to Investopedia.com, however, there have often been cases that tell us otherwise. For example, in 2019, North American oil production was at an all-time high, an all-time climax. All right. However, there was barely a noticeable drop in oil prices for a little bit of time, and then they just went back to skyrocketing. So the graph would have looked slightly like this, dipped, and then went higher again. According to IndexMoney.com, the change in Singapore's oil prices can be seen in this graph. This graph shows us the changes in the prices of crude petroleum as priced in Singaporean dollars per barrel. We can see that the prices reached an all-time low in April of 2020, which is around the time when the pandemic was raging. The prices per barrel were approximately $30. One can infer that this is due to the fact that people were staying at home during the circuit breaker. The petroleum was not consumed because people were not traveling inside the country. This made the supply increase, but the demand stayed low since nobody was using it. The highest it was ever been so far recorded is approximately 162 Singaporean dollars per barrel in June 2022.
Thank you, Mr. Gench. Now I'd like to welcome Mr. George from NYK Shipping to speak on shipping and the transportation of grain.
The Russia's invasion against Ukraine will just be ongoing since February 24th is causing disruptions of global exports and imports. For instance, there was a significant effect on the Ukraine's grain export, and like many countries are getting affected by this, such as Africa and like European countries, since they rely on the grain exports from Ukraine. So for another effect, Russia is getting punished by many countries such as USA and like European countries. So by this punishment, many countries are refusing to export import refusing to import the gas from Russia. By this limitation, the gas price became like four times more expensive than before the invasion against Ukraine. Thank you.